fucking pissing down.
It is. It's raining outside. Although I don't think anyone can hear that.
Probably not. We need to crank it up if we want to make that any of that sweet, sweet ASMR money.
That's the ASMR sound of Lucky Dip.
Can you hear it raining outside, Glenn? Hear that rain coming down.
I thought you just pitched
Just
yourself.
relaxing. Having a good time. Listening to the rain. Talking about movies.
Listening to people tinkle
Yeah.
does it for me.
Makes me want to tinkle.
Hey, it's Halloween this week. Monday is Halloween, so we're going to do a Halloween... Well, I say we're going to do a Halloween-themed Lucky Dip, and hi, everyone, it's Glenn and Ben from the Good Movie Monday podcast, doing a Lucky Dip thing. I didn't prepare this for a Halloween episode. It was like an afterthought practically 10 minutes ago. But I do have this tub full of horror movie franchises from a previous themed Lucky Dip that we did, and it's in the Yogo container.
Luckily, I've seen no horror movie franchise movies.
Yes, so this will be fun. We're just going to do a Lucky Dip from this.
I'm just going to let Glenn talk about the movies that
I'm
I
sure
pull
you'll
out.
have seen part one of most of them.
Yeah. Halloween.
Yeah.
I have seen part one of this one. I've seen 3 part ones.
It says
Super weird.
it says many part ones.
It's got a lot of part ones. It's. I think it must be the most rebooted of all the Halloween of all of the horror franchises.
So yeah, it totally it's got 13 films or 15. I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
What the number is.
But it's got 5 timelines, I think.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing I find about this, as we've discovered online from our reaction to Halloween Ends, where
we're the only 2 people in the world
hatred,
who liked it.
The hatred for this one is rife and unwarranted, as far as I'm concerned.
The thing that's so amazing is that at the moment, you can jump on the latest episode of the Mick Garris podcast. Is him talking to Tommy Lee Wallace about doing Halloween 3 and how it's the exact same reaction.
Yep. And you've just,
and now everyone loves Halloween.
You've just tapped into what I was going to say here, which is the interesting thing for me is how much hatred there is for this film, right? And yet, these people that claim to love the original as passionately as they do they forget the fact that John Carpenter never wanted this to be the franchise it is? He wanted it to be anthology. He wanted each installment to actually be a separate story that's unrelated to Michael Myers.
Yeah.
And yet, that's not what happened. And I don't understand people getting so fucking worked up over this series.
And that's the thing that's so weird is that there is no Michael Myers in Halloween 3.
No.
In Halloween Kills, there's a little bit of him.
Yep.
There's just so that you stop whinging about it like that everyone whinged about it when Halloween 3 Season of the Witch came out. I mean, admit it, and Tommy Lee Wallace is it should never have put 3 next to it. It should have just been Halloween Season of the Witch.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they fucked up the marketing because they should have said this is a completely different.
Well,
yeah, it could have just been Season
the
of the
other
Witch.
thing about that is too, I understand if this had been if number 3 had been the second film, it all would have made sense, right? Halloween 2 could have been its name, and we've established an anthology series, right?
Yeah.
But because the studio said you can only make part 3 or Season of the Witch if you make a direct sequel first, and that fucked it up.
And that's the funny thing in that interview. He talks about how they offered him, they asked him to direct part 2,
right?
And it was the first film, and he just felt no, he couldn't do it because he absolutely hated the script.
Yeah. Because
at the time, they had opened the floodgates for slashers.
Yeah.
And so when Carpenter wrote the script, it was all non-stop gore.
Yeah.
And he was like, I just was not interested in making that film. As it turns out, no one was really that interested in making that film. It was a means to an end.
I find it incredible. It suggests that so many writers have integrity, right? When you knock back the opportunity to make a Hollywood film, I don't want to make that movie. It's not. People would die at a chance to make a movie.
A movie. But it's not that. He was like, look, I could have done a decent job of it, but I would have been phoning it in. And
so what? It's a paycheck.
Yeah, but he just thought he owed it to John and Deborah to not. He goes, looking back on it in hindsight now, it was a crazy decision.
Yeah, yeah.
But
I know, but I owe it to John and Deborah. You would have owed it to them to do it because.
That's when they called him. When Deborah called him up for Halloween Part 3, he was going to say no, and she's like, "Wait, it's not what you think. It's a completely different."
Yeah, and it is a cult classic. I do love it, and I like it when franchises get a little bit Ballsy.
They go on in a different path.
Yeah.
I mean, they all do eventually. I mean, that's the thing. Like, how many shit sequels do you need to have before somebody tries something different and then it gets shat on for trying something
I
different?
know. Well,
When you're like, well, hang on, the last 4 that did exactly the same as the first one were also shit. So why don't you shut your fucking mouth?
on to the next one. Urban Legend, another franchise we have spoken about quite a lot recently, including this morning's, Monday's episode of Good Movie Monday, as well as the episode that we did with Jamie Blanks. So there we go.
That was they're desperately trying to turn that into a franchise where no franchise really existed
Yeah, so
before.
go back and listen to us talk about the franchise, and we'll just pluck another one out. That's a whole episode you can get into. Like, why repeat ourselves?
No, I'm not pulling that one out. I saw that one.
did
That's
you?
going to be the same fucking thing. The Conjuring verse.
Ooh, okay. Well, I mean, I do enjoy this. I know there's a lot of people that hate it. People that are close to me.
I think I've right now
No.
because I've only
No.
seen one film and I was like,
No,
oh yeah,
a certain someone that sat with us at the Barbarian screening. Yeah, has an aversion.
Has
to
an aversion?
anything that this filmmaker makes.
shocking.
Yeah,
That's
right.
shocking.
That is shocking. But the funny thing is, I kind of enjoy this franchise. Well, I enjoy the Conjuring part of the franchise. I don't particularly like the spin-offs, although the second 2 Annabelle movies were quite good.
I didn't mind whichever one takes place in the house in the desert, with Anthony LaPaglia.
That's that Annabelle, like it's the prequel to Annabelle, I think.
Yeah,
that was good. We
I've
saw
only-
that together.
Yeah, I've literally seen the first Conjuring,
Yeah.
and I've seen that Annabelle movie. That's all I've seen.
Yep.
I didn't bother with that La Lorna.
No, that was
Which
shithouse.
is-
The nun was shithouse.
Yeah.
The Lenorna one in Australia was called the Weeping Woman.
Yeah.
but-
I did actually. I know. I think I did see the Nun, but in like fast forward.
Yeah.
I didn't really care for any of them. I didn't want to bother.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough, mate.
It's like the Saw movies. Like, I kind of
yeah. I mean,
Like
it's got
one-
its place.
like one is great. The ingenious idea is always good, but the whole constant need to top the last
Yeah.
one and
But you know me, it's kind of like
No.
I enjoy the fact that we've got these long enduring franchises. It takes me back to the 80s when these things, really franchises started to take off.
they were just a lot more palatable when I was 12.
Yeah, well, I'm sure 12-year-olds love this stuff, but
Yeah.
I particularly like Conjuring 3. I think that's one the devil may know what it's called, the devil.
Devil Wears Prada.
Yeah, that's right. Devil Wears Prada.
They
Terrifying. I'm looking up to my collection that's up there, and I still can't see the byline on that one. So anyway, on to the next.
Don't pull out. Is it the one I threw back? No, it's not.
Exorcist.
Excellent.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Because I'm very smart.
Good series. And speaking of Halloween, this one is getting a legacy sequel by the same director as Halloween.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanted to pull that one out because that's the one I pulled out before. I'm like, well, they don't need to talk about those
They
again.
will never know.
Um,
Exorcist. Okay, so I am about the only person on earth other than Mick Garris that really loves number 2. I'll say that.
I'm trying to think of. I saw number 2, like it played like at 11 o'clock on TV, and all that Spinal Tap, all the Spinal Tap stuff. Really,
No, that's number 1, isn't it?
no, because she's older.
She is older, but I thought
I'm
the
sure
Spinal
it's
Tap
number
one is
2.
number 1 where she has a Spinal Tap. It's because the nurse in that's a real serial killer in real life. You know
Really?
that backstory. So there's a nurse in the operating theater. It is part 1. And yeah, he was a real life serial killer at the time, an active serial killer.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, great story. But no, number 2 is the one with Louise Fletcher, where Regan is now a teenager working in like a special school or a special hospital for gifted children and things like that. And who's it? Richard Burton, and it's got the plague of locusts and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
But yeah,
they do the piss
there's
taking
no
and,
medical procedures in number 2.
Yeah, right. I could have sworn she was the adult when they're giving her. They put the needle in with the thing and
Yeah,
the
straight in,
thing, and you like all the blood spurts.
Because
out
that
and
was
stuff.
them
It
testing Regan in the first one to see what's wrong with her.
What's wrong with her? Yeah, right.
But look, I do love number 2. I can't explain why, and I just felt so much better when I heard Mick Garris talk about number 2 and how he loved
And
it
how
as
he liked
well.
it. I always find it funny. Like, I remember that Spinal Tap stuff.
Yeah.
And then for a while there, you'd see it a lot of kind of medical shows or shows where medical stuff would have to happen, and they talk about having to do a lumbar puncture and a spinal tap, and you had to be awake during it, and it was incredibly painful.
Yeah.
Now, ever since like, it's just like they talk about it in like House and stuff like that, but it's like not a big thing.
No, but it's like in like I watched Clerk 3 recently, and they talk about how like you're having a heart attack, we're gonna have to shove something up your dick hole to have a look. Like, why through my dick hole?
I've got other holes.
Anyway, I think Exorcist 3 is one of the great sequels. I think that's George C. Scott.
Yeah, that's a full-on film.
An amazing movie. Got a great jump scare in that. One of the a famous jump scare. And then number 4, The Beginning, came along. That's the one that Paul Schrader did.
I've never seen that one.
Well, it's the one that Paul Schrader and Rennie Harlan did.
Oh, yeah, right. The one that's that's a very late.
Yeah, The Beginning, and it's got Stellan Skarsgård in it.
Yeah.
But the whole concept...
Who's perfectly cast.
The whole story of that one is Paul Schrader delivered a cut that the studio were like, well, where's the horror?
Yeah.
Like, because it was a drama. And so they hired Rennie Harlan to redo the film. He shot, I think, 80%
new
stuff.
But then I remember when it came out on DVD, both versions were on.
Well,
or you could get both versions.
Yeah, not when I first got the Australian release, it was only the Rennie Harlan cut, and I had to import the Paul Schrader one.
Cut.
But I do think they then did like the double feature kind of thing, like you choose which version.
You could watch them both,
which is the smart thing to do. And that's it. I mean, tell me the studio were that disappointed. They got 2 movies out of it.
Well, that's if like now they just seem to they'll just can it and write it off as a tax loss.
Yeah.
Whereas then they're like, well, we've got the film. Well, why not release it?
Yeah, that's right. Well,
anyway, it's like Tarantino keeps threatening his 9-hour cut of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Fucking do it. I want to see it. Stop fucking talking about it and do it.
Well, didn't he have like a definitive cut of Kill Bill he was going to be doing as well and add in a whole lot more to that?
It's another James Cameron, Peter Jackson horse shit where they string us along like.
We're still waiting on. Well, he promised the Vega Brothers movie, which was the crossover with Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs.
I'd settle for the Venga Boys movie.
See, that song would actually fit that Kill Bill sequence quite well, where she's walking through along the table
instead of the Twisted Nerve.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I need to do a video of that. Do you remember when I did Axel Foley, the Axel F over the Wizard of Oz? I should do it with that.
Yeah, let's see what it sounds like.
Ding, light bulb moment. All right, that'll do.
That'll do.
Halloween Lucky Dip.
That'll do, pig.
You won't have to dip into this bucket again for quite some time, my friend.
I hope the next time I do, there are Skittles in the bottom of it.
Unless this is a Thursday video. It's never going to be a Friday the 13th, so you're safe. And yes, maybe I'll trick you with some Skittles. They're doing giant Skittles now.
Like M&M, like peanut M&M size Skittles?
No, much bigger.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, these are
like everlasting gobstopper size
Mentos
Skittles.
size.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of Skittle.
Not a sponsor.
Let's go. Come and get me, motherfucker.